Yu-Gi-Oh has two groups of people: casual players, competitive players. And there's a lot of animosity between these two groups. What is the story here? Why does one group seem to dislike the other so much? Because I hear a lot of people saying, like terms like filthy casual, that comes up. And then on the competitive side, you hear terms like meta sheep, right? Why do these groups hate each other so much? Like, is there some reason why people can't get along?
True, why you hate scrubs?
Because I am one, so you hate what you are.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't care for meta.
I feel like if I had to give an opinion on that specific question that he asked, it's basically because everyone has their own reason for playing the game, and we as people with opinions and free will are stupid. If I may be candid, and I include myself in that. Pretty much, we are of the mindset that if it's not what we're doing, then it's probably wrong.
Yeah.
People always gonna hate what's different.
Now, I would like to also say that I'm a filthy casual meta sheep. So
I don't know if you can be.
What
both.
I mean by that is everyone who knows me. I've got a lot of invites in the game, but I got maybe a small fraction of them playing actual meta. The majority of my invites have come from playing rogue or some whatever that I put together. But at the same time, I'm a very competitive person. People who know me personally know that I love to compete, but I also always try to find ways to do it without playing the meta. Not that I have anything against the meta. I just like doing things my own way.
Yeah. Actually, okay. Speaking of, the meta, because that is it's a kind of this term that comes up a lot. And I think everybody has a different definition kind of in their eyes of like what that is. You'll hear a lot of people who think that the meta comprises of basically any deck that beat them.
Basically.
And then there's some people who feel like the meta is something that's, it's a lot more rigid than that. Like maybe just a handful of decks, maybe like 2-3 decks at a time. Right now that might be strikers and Salamangreats or something like that. And there's a lot of animosity to people who like play those decks. Where does that come from? What's the...
I think it comes from when they meet, right? Because see, meta's not a problem if you're meta playing meta. But what happens when meta meets casual?
Yeah.
Meta's also not a problem if you're not losing to it either. That's another thing you think about. I mean, no one cares about it can be considered meta, but if you win to it, you don't care about it.
Most casual players will lose though.
I agree, but if you win to it, the issue with that,
then you're not worried about it.
Yeah, you're not worried about it, and the issue that comes along with that though is that you feel like you're better too. Because let's just be honest. Let's just say, and we're just hypothetically, let's just say I have a knife and Larry has a gun and I win that fight. In my mind, I'm going to assume that I was better than Larry with this knife because he sucked with the gun. I mean, that's kind of how it is with like a casual duel. Is they can beat.
I would think is that one part of the thing saying I'm better at that?
Either I'm better or they suck.
Oh, I was gonna say, or is it this whole thing? Well, I guess knives are better than guns now.
I mean, but that's kind of where it goes though. Like literally, where this go with casual and competitive or meta. If you want to go there,
I have both, by the way, so I'm not worried.
Is it strictly a deck choice thing then? Like, is that something?
Shoot me on camera.
It's not about.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's about deck choice because anyone can play any deck. It's a matter of how much more you're willing to spend. But anybody can play whatever deck. You put Sky Strikers in the hand of a casual player, and he's gonna get. He's gonna get just about the same results as he got.
They're gonna play like Spirit Sky Strikers or something like that. It's not gonna be.
So, do you think it's like a little bit of hint of jealousy?
I don't think it's jealousy.
I don't think jealousy is the right word either.
It's more of a.
It's elitist on both sides.
So
it doesn't feel.
So people who play less decks think they're better than those who go out and pay or play the most expensive decks because they said, "Oh, I don't need that."
But it works on both ends, though.
I feel like there's a sense of pride that a lot of people have that they're not playing the same thing as everyone else. So like I'm playing my original creation, or I've stuck with my Black Wings for this many years, or my Six Samurai for this many years, and I'm not gonna just play Salamangreats because they're new and good or whatever. And then there's a lot of people who really. Like, they stand by these decks, and they take a lot of pride in not playing what everyone else is playing. So, is that kind of what you meant, Alec? Like, it's...
just blind pride?
It's like, what you...
Stick to your guns and...
Because it's a game, and you enjoy it for different reasons. Some people can't enjoy the game if a little bit of themselves... If they can't see themselves in the deck they're playing.
Yeah.
When you look at the meta, and you see, like, the reports, right? 30% this deck, 20% this deck, 15% this deck. you don't get to see, you don't see players in that, right? They don't tell you, it doesn't really matter who piloted that deck to get to the top. It's that deck made it. And like for a lot of casual players,
except for very few people,
a casual player, they wouldn't want the thing to say Thunder Dragons topped. They want to say Alec Fields topped with his original like whatever,
right?
With his deck,
random 40 cards.
Random 40 cards.
And okay, so there's another point actually. Is casual, like I think there is a stigma around casual players that everything that they're playing is just awful garbage, right? Like these people are just playing 40 random cards or extremely dated decks. They don't know how to play. They're awful. Where does that stigma come from? And we're gonna get on the competitive side here in a second. So
there's levels to casual, right?
I agree. I think so.
Levels to competitive. So yeah.
Because I mean, there are some certain people who they'll just throw whatever together, but to them that's fun.
Yeah.
But then there are casual players who they play archetypes. They play actual decks. It's just that their decks aren't as strong in the current like meta game.
Larry, Terrell, like, what do you guys? Do you feel like all casuals are just, rock bottom bad? Are there levels to it?
I mean, people play what they like, and they like what they enjoy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like take for me, I love Blue Eyes. I'm never gonna stop playing Blue Eyes. They can put Blue Eyes White Dragon ban. I'm still gonna play 3 of them. Just get a game loss every time.
I want to play again.
But like I said, people play what they like and like what they play. Everybody's different. I mean,
I guess I kind of have a clearer idea now, because if you play what you want to play, so if you've played with a group of friends, like maybe like 3 people, you all play your favorite decks. You did it for years. You've had a lot of fun. You play your favorite deck, they play theirs. You win, they win, whatever. But what happens when someone shows up with Sky Strikers and all of a sudden they're beating your face in with it?
Yeah, I mean, of course you're gonna have a natural animosity.
The meta game is almost in direct, like whatever these meta decks. It doesn't just threaten your deck; it threatens you because that's the deck you built that you had fun with. And now these guys with their identical builds are showing up and they're beating you, but they don't have any creativity. They're just copying like the same things.
Yeah.
Duelist otakus.
I mean,
it's not the otakus.
And is now another part too is somebody mentioned price. The price of cards. I've noticed on the internet that's definitely something that I see. A lot of people hate cards because they can't afford them, and so maybe they misdirect the anger.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like people complain about cards. People complain about the expensive cards until they get reprinted. And then you can afford it, and then it kind of just gets...
once Ash went common, I stopped hearing people comments.
Nobody talks about Ash anymore.
Yeah. It's and it'll likely be the same case with a lot of other cards. It just might just be the price.
Pot of Desires. People complain it doesn't see hardly any
I remember I got 3.
Any play right. What plays Pot of Desires still right now? Just like
Sky Strikers, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, and then there's also the elitism, because that's kind of the central point of this whole discussion for me, is that there's this idea that like competitive players tend to be elitists, and then it goes the other way. There are people who feel like they're casual elitists. Does elitism really exist?
Well, say it does, but let's think of it. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, our fans are basketball fans, but let's think of it like
they know who DeMar DeRozan is.
That guy right there, DeMar Carroll. Look him up.
He's dark. He's Alec. Like if Alec had dreads, he'd be DeMar Carroll. Sorry, you guys.
I'm not. Anyway, well, let's because I mean, for example, a lot of people like to play basketball. A lot of people play casually. Or when they're growing up, they go to the park during the summer. They may play a little bit more during school time. You may play during PE, an hour after school maybe. But then there are others whose parents take them to the $100 basketball camps during the summer, who every night okay, let's go to the gym and let's get 100 shots up. Both playing the same game, some slightly more competitive than others.
Right.
I don't think that means that the casual player dislikes playing basketball or likes playing it any better than the super competitive guy. It's just different
Yes,
skill
different
sets and levels.
expectations and
So let me be frank and break this one down. Basically, like I get what Larry's saying.
Touch your trail, not Frank.
I'm Frank Sinatra. I do a little singing here and there. Let me break this down. Basically, and this is how I see it, and it's gonna be a lot of disagreements with this, and I don't really care. Yeah, you suck. So as far as the elitist,
I disagree.
You don't.
I object.
You were my teammate at Atlanta. Remember that. Anyway, as far as the disagreements, as far as the elitist thing we're talking about here, there on two different ends of the spectrum. Like we have the competitive elitist and we have the casual elitist. There's two different ways of looking at it, like depending on which side you're on. Most of the casual elitists, if I may be completely honest, don't win a lot against certain against certain players, against certain decks, things of that nature. Their elitist attitude comes from the pride of playing something different from the meta sheet. And I say meta sheet not as my own term, but it's what has been said. On the other end, the competitive players are elitists because they are playing a deck that they know can win. So their elitist attitude comes through action. The casual elitist attitude comes through pride. The elitist attitude of the competitive players comes through action. It's two different things. Mm-hmm. These players in a lot of casual, like I said, if you're at your shop, like you said, and somebody's bringing Sky Strikers there, and the whole shop gets wrecked. But before this person came, you were the shop king with your casual volcanic, ritual beast deck. Yeah. You know what I mean? You now have pride because the first thing you're gonna say is he only won because he played Sky Striker and everybody knows that's a meta deck.
Yep. That's
your pride because that's in your mind. Where this competitive elitist player just wrecks the entire shop. So his pride comes through action because he knows his deck wins. That's where the spectrum is right there. So it's totally different.
For me, when it comes to like an elitist like meta player,
okay, I took my.
You only truly become an elitist meta player if you're going after casuals. Because if you only play competitive versus competitive, it's kind of hard to be elitist when you know if this guy plays this X card, then I might just lose.
I might just lose at any
point in time.
The duel will just change at any moment because they are just as competitive as me. They're probably better or just as good or whatever the case may be. You guys are on a much closer, like you're on a fairer ground, as opposed to playing against the casual. So you're right.
I think meta players, if they stay their own lane, like you have no business playing against a casual player if you're holding Sky Strikers, Thunder Dragons, Orcus.
That kind of goes for both.
It does, and it doesn't.
I do feel like casual players sometimes
if you
don't have a choice.
are riding a tricycle, you don't get in the motorcycle race. End of story.
You do.
You don't.
But I mean, what do
you don't?
Well, you don't.
You don't get.
So what do we mean? Like when you say you?
So I was like, I don't say sometimes you don't have a choice. It's
I mean, if I can,
you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry,
you bastard.
But it's
true. I can give an example, then because I do think there's something relevant here to be said. Sometimes when I go to YCS events, we went to one last weekend. There are casual people who come and they are planning to play for fun, and they'll enter the same event that a competitive player will enter. And they're entering, like you guys said, for different reasons.
Right.
But maybe this speaks to Larry's point that both people enter one event, so they're gonna have to cross paths.
There will always be,
and that's maybe
meta.
where it.
That's
I won't say it.
There will always be that. But
so it's kind of like you have to. I mean, if you go to an event and everybody else playing meta, it's like, well, I guess I'm gonna lose.
But with that being said, it's not about you facing the meta. It's about your attitude when facing the meta. If you come in being casual and you expect to win, that is your own misguidedness.
It is.
Like you said, like you just said, people have come to this event. A lot of people that we met at YCS Atlanta were like, "This is my first cool. YCS. Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun."
True.
And they'll tell you,
we didn't get that much.
And they'll
negativity from the past.
We didn't give any negativity at all. But my thing is, even the casual players who knew that they were getting into the main event, knew that they were playing casually. And I'm not saying it's not really a pessimistic thing. They didn't expect to win against the higher decks because they knew that. They knew there was a skill gap in the decks themselves. Yeah. So they were like, okay, whatever happens. I'm not here for that.
I tend to agree.
We're talking about big events though. I think a lot of animosity comes at the local level.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with
that. It's at your shop.
Oh God, yes.
And locals have this issue where they allow, everyone's allowed because it's an open environment, and you can play as casually as you want. Okay. But if even one person starts bringing meta to the shop,
it changes.
They will
change the entire
because they're gonna sweep tournaments, and they can't really say you're not allowed to play your deck. I mean, I guess they could, but it wouldn't.
I mean, they can complain about it. They can't stop it. They can complain about it, but they can't stop it.
It wouldn't go well. So it changes everything. It stops. I think...
Keep taking my shirt off.
I think a lot of casuals, they get burned out because, I lost my shop to the meta or,
right.
Or
everywhere we go,
or even then, like it's that one player who I guess takes the meta into the shop and he knows he's finna wreck shop. He does it, I won't say like relentlessly, like
let me go wash
let me go beat all these scrubs.
Let me go scrape them.
So,
because I know I can, because they're playing.
So would you say that maybe
trick stars? I don't know.
Like one casual player can't. Casual players, they're dime a dozen. One elitist casual player doesn't have too much of an effect. But if even one meta player is toxic and enters into a casual arena,
it ruins.
It ruins everything. Even if every other meta player is perfectly fine, even one
bad experience can give people a bad opinion.
Remember
competitive play.
Yeah,
I mean, they're asshole to you. I mean,
because I was like that. I played extremely casually. That was 2012, just playing in my local area, and this one kid showed up with a Dino Rabbit.
Oh, he wrecked y'all.
Yeah, he wrecked us terribly.
He wrecked y'all.
And some of us rose to the occasion,
and
some of us didn't. Regardless, we hated that guy.
See,
we hated it. We almost switched to Vanguard. Actually, we did. We switched to Vanguard.
That's what it is.
Maybe it kind of comes down to
my God.
What is Vanguard?
Maybe it comes down to what Larry said at the start, where it's a matter of people don't like what's different, what's different than what they're.
What they are. I mean, in my profession, yes, people don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Even if what you're telling them is not, more like you can say it's right, but it's good. It's good sound advice. They don't like being told what to do. I can be like, don't eat that dirt, and they'll be like, man, I love dirt. I don't know what you're talking about.
Red, those my favorite color.
My God.
So as a final point to end on, then, is this just something that there's just no hope? People are casuals and competitors are just gonna hate each other for all eternity. There's nothing that can be done. Or what steps? What can be done?
Okay. I hate you too.
Wait a minute. I think that this is not some irreparable problem.
Yes, it is.
Because
what can people
do?
You do? But actually, what advice would you give to a casual player who hates the idea of competitive play, or what would you say to a competitive player who maybe thinks the same of casuals? If they're
switch decks for a day.
No.
I think that could be good advice.
It's kind of
switch decks for a day, see what the other person is coming from.
That's hard to do since a lot of meta decks have a price tag on.
Not
a lot of people. Not like for real.
But I know what you mean, but
that you filthy casual person, learn the meta deck, see what makes it tick, see what makes it work. Why does it work? Why can you see why this works and why?
So put yourself in their shoes, pretty much.
Right. Alec, what about you? What do you think? You think it's hopeless?
Just respect the other side. I don't think a casual player can ever. If you're really casual, you probably never want to play meta, and vice versa. But meta players, stay your lane. If you know these guys are casual, don't bother them. They're not gonna have a good time. You might have a good time. They won't, and you know it. And as far as casual players, I mean, you can expect things to stay casual at locals, but if you go to an event, if you travel anywhere, you're gonna play against meta, and you can't get mad.
And that's what I said. That's
their lane.
That's kind of why I said, know what?
What about you, Terrell?
What everybody else?
It's irreparable.
No hope.
No, and I don't mean that in a pessimistic way. I mean in a realistic way, just because I get Larry saying switch decks for a day, or and put yourself in their shoes. But some people are just competitive, and some people are just casual. I mean, I'm a lazy person to an extent, so I have a casual mindset, but I'm so competitive. So even if I was to switch decks for a day and choose something else to play, I'm gonna try to win. I'm gonna try to beat your face in at all costs. So it's irreparable because if you're really competitive, like I said, everybody's purpose for playing the game is different. So if my purpose is to be competitive, me switching decks for a day does not change that mindset and change my goal of what I want to do. And if the deck sucks, just be honest, because some decks do suck. If the deck sucks, it's only going to frustrate me, and further bolster the fact that I want to continue to play whatever meta or whatever winning deck I'm playing.
Yeah.
So
I touched them.
irreparable, not in a negative way, but just irreparable. But I
think
I totally
right
agree
now,
with
it is
Alec
a
in the
big
fact
divide.
of respect. Yes, a huge divide. It won't get any smaller, especially as far as the game goes, because we'll get new cards with crazy effects, with high prices. People are going to want to do their own thing continuously, and that's not a bad thing.
You are very loud today.
I'm always loud. I mean, plus it's even worse because I have a cold. Sorry, you guys, if I am loud, but whatever. But and even then, you scared? Are you scared? Whatever.
I ain't never scared.
Anyway, Alec, get back on camera. But like I said, regardless of that, like what Alec was saying, was just respect everyone else. If you know what your lane is, stay in your lane. And my thing is, if you're going to get into another lane, understand that there might be some things about it you don't like. End of story.
It's gonna be a bumpy change. Man.
For either one, having to play down sucks. Having to play up sucks. Deal with it.